COVID-19. What is COVID-19? About COVID-19. Coronavirus disease 2019 COVID-19 is an infectious disease caused by severe acute respiratory syndrome, coronavirus 2, and was identified in December 2019 in Wuhan, China, also resulted in an ongoing pandemic. The first case was traced back to 17 November 2019, and as of 5 June 2020, more than 6.63 million cases have been reported across 188 countries and territories, resulting in more than 391,000 deaths and more than 2.36 million people have been recovered. What is the symptoms of COVID-19? Fever, cough, fatigue, shortness of breath, and loss of smell and taste. While the majority of cases result in mild symptoms, some progress to acute respiratory distress syndrome (ARDS) likely precipitated by a cytokine storm, multi-organ failure, septic shock, and blood clots. The time from exposure to onset of symptoms is typically around 5 days, but may range from 2 to 14 days.
In effect on social and on economic. Effect on social. Old person with disability, youth, sport, emotional trauma, and stress. Old person particularly susceptible to the risk of infection from COVID-19, especially those with chronic health conditions. Persons with disabilities face challenges in accessing healthcare services due to lack of availability, accessibility, and affordability. Youth. 1 billion youth are now no longer physically in school after the closure of school and university. Education and learning could have long-term consequences on the quality of education. Sport events. Major sporting events at international, regional, and national level have been cancelled or postponed. Stress. It could lead a person to depression. COVID-19 effect on economy. Restricted business, losing jobs, investment, financial health, inflation, and most affected sector become vulnerable. Restricted business. Lockdown has restricted various businesses, such as traveling to contain the virus consequences. Losing jobs. Business shutting down that shows that companies will be unable to pay to workers, resultantly they must lay off them. Investment. Investors removing their money from multiple businesses to prevent from massive loss. Financial help. Almost 80 countries have already requested International Monetary Fund (IMF). Inflation. It increased in the opportunity cost of holding money, uncertainty over future inflation, which may discourage investment and savings. And if inflation were rapid enough, shortage of goods as consumers begin holding out of concern that prices will increase in future. Most affected sectors become vulnerable. It is because of restricted movement order and flight. For example, tourism and travel-related industry, hotels, restaurants, and transportation.
Next is how to combat with COVID-19. The first one is by impose a partial lockdown or MCO. People are restricted, not allowed to go outside, but only allowed to buy necessary things such as food by wear masks. This was done to prevent the virus to be spread to many people, where at the same time the city also needs to sanitize. Second is work from home. This is a government order to let the workers work from home where they don't have to come to the office, and all the meetings or discussion may be done online.
Next is the online teaching and learning were done in a full scale. Universities and schools were closed to prevent students and people suffer academically, and all the examination was cancelled. So, teaching online was implemented.
Besides that, avoid any gathering of more than 10 people. Any event is not allowed to hold, and for the funeral event, only the close relatives are allowed to attend, but limited to 10 people. But a death that was caused by COVID, the funeral event only can be done by doctors and nurses. The last one is doing tests and provide a place of quarantine. One of the tests is the swab test. This was done to detect the people either they are infected by COVID or not. The result takes about 40 days. During the period, they were asked to quarantine themselves in the place that has been provided. Also, providing a place of quarantine for infected patients.
How to prevent the spread of COVID-19? Clean your hand often, use soap and water or an alcohol-based hand rub. Maintain a safe distance from anyone who is coughing or sneezing. Don't touch your eyes, nose or mouth. Cover your nose and mouth with your bent elbow or a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Stay home if you feel unwell. If you have a fever, cough, and difficulty breathing, seek medical attention and call in advance. Follow the directions of your local health authority. And most importantly, avoiding an unneeded visits to medical facilities will help the system to operate more effectively, therefore protecting you and others.
How to put on a face mask. Step 1. Clean your hand with soap and water or hand sanitizer before touching the mask. Step 2. Remove a mask from a box and make sure there are no tears or holes either side of the mask. Step 3. Determine which side of the mask is top and which side is the front. Step 4. Follow the instruction below for the type of your mask. First, face mask with the ear loops. Hold the mask by the ear loops and place a loop around each ear. Second, face mask with ties. Bring the mask to your nose level and place the ties over the crown of your head and secure with a bow. Step 5. Mold or pinch the stiff edge to the shape of your nose. Step 6. If using the face mask with ties, then take the bottom ties, one in each hand, and secure with a bow at the nape of your neck. The last step, step 7. Pull the bottom of the mask over your mouth and chin.
Let's talk about chain of infection. There are many different germs and infections inside and outside of the healthcare setting. Despite the variety of viruses and bacteria, germs spread from person to person through a common series of events. Firstly, infectious agent. The infectious agent is simply the germ that causes the infection. Germs are all around us and within us, and many play very important roles in keeping us healthy. The problems come when a germ leaves its normal place to go elsewhere in the body. The germs that sits on your skin and which usually cause no harm, for instance getting into a cut, the germ could then cause infection. Secondly, reservoir. It's a place where germs can live and multiply. The place can be anyone, but it can also be any part of the surrounding area of a healthcare setting, furnishing in the patient or client's room and the equipment we use in healthcare. Thirdly, portal of exit. It is the way the infectious agent leaves the reservoir through open wounds, aerosol, and splatter of body fluids including coughing, sneezing, and saliva. Fourth link, model of transmission. It is the way the infectious agent can be passed on. This can happen in a number of ways, such as through direct or indirect contact, ingestion, or inhalation. Fifth link, portal of entry. It is the way the infectious agent can enter a new host. They can do this by entering wounds and cuts through the respiratory tract, mucous membrane, and patients who are having treatments that involve cutting the skin or placing medical instruments inside the body. For example, people who inject drugs with used needles. Fifth link, susceptible hosts. Healthy people have their own defenses which help them fight infections. This means that even if some harmful germs enter the body, the person can fight them off and stay well. The ability of the body to defend itself against infection is called immunity. Some people, however, can't fight infection effectively, thus making them a vulnerable target.
Modes transmissions. How the virus transmitted. The virus transmitted through airborne. It occurs when small particles in the air containing the virus are inhaled into a person's respiratory system. You need to stay alert. Although one study has reported that the virus can remain vulnerable in the air for 3 hours. The virus transmitted through droplets. It happens when an infected person coughs, sneezes, or talks, and tiny drops from the infected person enter another person's eyes, nose, and mouth. And lastly, through contact. It occurs when there is physical contact between an infected person or contaminated object and another person. It can happen in one of two ways. The first way is through direct contact. Infection travels to another person through touch. Second, through indirect contact. A person touches an object contaminated by COVID-19. When a person touches their nose or mouth with contaminated hands, they can get infected.
Statistic of COVID-19 in Malaysia. Malaysia has been ranked 12th in a newly launched global COVID-19 recovery index capable of quantifying and ranking the responses of 184 countries to the pandemic. Statistic of new cases in Malaysia up to 2 June. The statistics show the highest new cases recorded is in 2 June. The overview case in Malaysia confirmed 8266, recovered 6610, dead 116. Overall data in each state in Malaysia: Selangor, Negeri Sembilan, Johor, Sarawak, Pahang, and Sabah. And the next state is Perak, Melaka, Kelantan, Penang, Terengganu, Kedah, and the last is Bangladesh.
COVID treatment. The first one, to reduce fever and ease aches and pains, take acetaminophen. Be sure to follow directions. If you are taking any combination cold or flu medicine, keep track of all the ingredients and doses. For acetaminophen, the total daily dose from all products should not exceed 3,000 milligrams. Second is by convalescent plasma. In the current situation, antibody-containing plasma from a recovered patient is given by transfusion to a patient who is suffering from COVID-19. The donor antibodies help the patient fight the illness, possibly shortening the length or reducing the severity of the disease.
On March 24, the FDA began allowing convalescent plasma to be used in patients with serious or immediately life-threatening COVID-19 infection.
And the last one is hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine and chloroquine have been shown to kill the COVID-19 virus in the laboratory dish. The drugs appear to work through two mechanisms. First, they make it harder for the virus to attach itself to the cell, inhibiting the virus from entering the cell and multiplying within it. Second, if the virus does manage to get inside the cell, the drug kills it before it can multiply.
In conclusion, COVID-19, the pneumonia-like disease caused by coronavirus, have bring a lot of impact to the world, thus creating the new normal that all of us human beings must follow. This is a serious matter that cannot be taken lightly as it has become a global pandemic. It is best advised to practice precaution to stop from spreading the virus even more and to protect ourselves from it. COVID-19 have bring a lot of fatality around the world, and this shows that we must do our best to prevent the cycle of deaths to continue on rising. Many people have lost jobs and companies are facing a crucial issues on their profit. So, it is advisable to watch on your budget as this pandemic may last longer than we can expect. The government also have implemented a few restrictions. For example, people are not allowed to gather in crowd in one place as it increases the risk of spreading the disease, and also always practice social distancing. We must follow these rules and abide by it since it's for the sake of our health and also to break the cycle of infection. COVID-19 is a stressful event, but it also brings unexpected positive side as an effect of the abrupt shift in human behavior. Skies are bluer, fewer cars are crashing, and crime rate is decreasing, meaning that at least something good does happen. This crisis has caused people to question their priorities and how much they are willing to give to protect their loved ones. People are now more aware that nothing really matters when health is lacking. As for now, we will have to wait and see.